Hi, this is John with myselfdefenseblog.com. Today I'm going to be talking about a Purpleheart Amoury's Meyer's Longsword. It's a synthetic trainer that I just purchased. I'll step back and show it to you. And it's really a beautiful training type of weapon. It's got about a 37.5-inch blade. Let me see, weighs, they say it weighs 2 pounds 10 ounces. My scale, which arguably is not very accurate because I'm stepping on a scale and then I'm trying to jump on, grab the sword and pick it up and see how much it weighs and do a little subtraction. But I have it weighing about 2 pounds 3 or 4 ounces, so it's probably 2.5 pounds by my rough estimate, so that very well could be 2 pounds 10 ounces just fine. But I'm just going to say about 2.5 pounds. It comes with a really nice stainless steel pummel here. And if you kind of look at it like this, it kind of overlaps a little bit. But with a longsword and a pummel, you need something to grab, so because you're going to be doing a lot of twisting in your grips and such. So if you're doing this kind of stuff, you need something to grab, and you can change grips easily. So let's talk about the parts of a sword, because in a previous video I talked about a Bolognese side sword, as I recall. These parts are kind of the same. You have the pummel, the handle, the guard or the quillions, and the whole thing is the shaft or the hilt, you know, the pummel, handle, and the guard. The difference is, well, you still have a point. I don't remember what these are called, but these are for the thumb so you in some moves you can grab, you can move your thumb along the sword, possibly when you're coming like this. I'm still a beginner, a novice at this, and I just had my first longsword lesson, and I decided to, well, go ahead and buy one. And again, I got this at Purpleheart Amoury. They have a bunch of selections. I got the Meyer's one. But when we get into the cutting edges, before we had a true edge, which was the front, which was the cutting edge, and then you had a false edge, which you could cut back on sometimes. Now in German longsword, it's no longer the true edge and the false edge. It's the long edge and the short edge. So this becomes the long edge, and this becomes the short edge when you come back at that. I mean, it means about the same thing. As far as the handle size, you'll notice that this is quite a bit longer than previous. Well, I'll show you my Bolognese side sword, for example. If you line these weapons up side by side, the blade length is about the same. Of course, with the Bolognese down here, you have the finger rings and the knuckle guard, side guard here. But the thing is the handle's quite a bit different. This is a long handle compared to this, and this is truly a one-armed sword. It descended from the arming swords of the Middle Ages. And this, for about 300 years, they had the long swords, and the long swords you had to use two-handed, so it was perfect for a knight that was in armor, because he didn't have a shield anyway, and if he went into battle, he had one of these huge two-handed swords. And the advantage of a two-handed sword over a one-handed sword is you get a lot more power, because you're using this push-pull motion rather than just muscling through with your arm. But notice the handle itself, it's pretty straight, and then it goes down, and then you're actually grabbing by the bottom, or by the pummel for leverage here. Now I'm going to show you another sword I have, and this is a real sword. This isn't a practice sword, but it's a kind of long sword, and this is a 1.5-hand sword. Let me pull it out. Now this sword, well, let me first show it to you. I have it lightly oiled so I can touch it a little bit. And this is very sharp sword. And it's almost as long as my practice sword here. So it is a long sword because you can hold it with 2 hands. You know, so all the normal stuff you can do with other kind of sword. I don't like the pummel on this because it isn't round, which means gripping it's a little harder. Plus it's carbon steel, kind of like the blade, so it rusts easy. So I have oil on it right now, so I don't have to clean it as often. But you'll notice with the handle here, it's wider here. So this kind of sword is a 1.5-hand sword, or they also call it a bastard sword. And you can use this sword one-handed. For instance, if I wanted to use a longer sword like this, and I wanted to use it with a buckler, this is a larger buckler, but I mean, you could still do stuff with this, you know. But you can use this one-handed. Now it would be kind of awkward to use it one-handed for very long at all. And so this sword has advantages. You can also use it like a 2-handed sword, but it still is not as long as a long sword handle. And you'll notice the shape's different too. This one's pretty much the same shape all the way till the very end. This one has a wider shape where you can grab it one-handed, and then it starts rapidly tapering down much faster than this. So I kind of like this sword. I can use it for single hand or as a long sword, but I'm gonna actually purchase a long sword for later, a real long sword, as I don't have one right now. But this is only the very beginning of my training also. So I've had one lesson with a German longsword, and so far I'm loving it. But now I have one more thing I'm going to mention before I wrap this up, is I don't know how effective I'm going to be at German longsword, because I don't have quite the mobility as the other guys. Alright, so I'm going to kind of show you. If you're ever fighting me, forget you saw this, okay? Alright, so right here, this is as far as I can twist my hands down. I'll leave the thumbs out so you can see. So when I move my hands here, I now twisted my hands 90 degrees. Now I twisted my hands 180 degrees. Now I further twist this hand to the full 270 degrees. Well, this hand stops there. That's as much as I can do it. So I have to decide whether I want to fight with this sword right-handed or left-handed, or possibly I'll just do both. The thing is, let me see if I can do this here. I was doing a drill to where I came down, and I'll hold this kind of high here. And the thing is my hand doesn't wrap around. So when I come back up, I don't know if you can see this, I can get about one finger around my pummel, and then I can come back up, or I can twist and use the true edge to come back up. And this is the only thing holding that pummel. I can, however, re-grip it and come like this, but then that's going to kind of make it awkward for the next transition. Now if I go on my left side, I have no problem. I can grab it like this just fine, and then I can come up with, if I don't get my computer cables, I can come up with a true edge just fine. So I'll let you know how that goes later. But again, this Meyer's Longsword from Purpleheart Amoury, I'm very pleased with so far. It looks like many of the trainers that that the school I'm associated with, I'll put a link down there to them, is using also. Anyway, again, this is John Zimmer with myselfdefenseblog.com, and that's a wrap. Thank you very much.